We would like to take you on a nearly 73-year life journey of John Diehl, which highlights innovation, growth, development, and leadership in Michigan's agriculture industry. The Diehl family farm was founded in Dansville, Michigan by John Diehl's great-grandfather George in 1882. George's youngest son of 7 children, Clarence, bought his own farm down the road from George's in 1907. That farm passed along to Dave Diehl Sr., John's father. When John was born in October 1946, it was logical that John would put his own stamp on the family legacy. The Diehls have always been a notable family. The huge white barn that stands today on the north edge of Dansville is one of the largest, best kept in the area. The Diehl family came to be known beyond agriculture. John's dad, Dave Sr., played several years for the Detroit Lions in the 40s, leading the league in receiving in 1944. When it's said today that John does the Diehl name proud, it's saying something. John didn't start out with an eye on soybeans. From the time he was 4 years old, all he wanted to do was design big red tractors. When he graduated from Dansville High School, the University of Nebraska was one possibility to pursue this dream, as was Michigan State University, where the president, John Hanna, was a family friend. But if you're going into engineering, you need to go to a school that's known as the engineering school, went the reasoning of John's father, so off to Purdue University it was. Now, John wasn't the most exceptional student in West Lafayette, but he found company in that, and he partnered with a few other academic underachievers in Alpha Gamma Rho. I think the fraternity put us all together because they didn't think we would make the grades to stay in school, John says. I think they figured it would be easier to get rid of all of us if we were kept all together. What he lacked in the classroom was made up for in the shop, though. John was part of the AGR team that built and designed the Ag Engineering entry into Purdue's annual Grand Prix go-kart race, taking home the Best Engineered Kart Award. After college, John took a position with International Harvester designing engines in Illinois. He loved the work but hated the big city life. In 1969, he enlisted and served a tour in the U.S. Navy as an anti-submarine operator on a P-3 patrol plane. John served as an aviation electronics specialist, flying 100 yards off the Pacific Ocean surface, hunting for submarines. John traveled extensively in that position and met Sherry in Florida between flight arrangements. By 1973, John was back in Dansville on the family farm doing the jobs no one else wanted to do. Along with his dad and brother Dave Jr., they grew corn, soybeans, wheat, and navy beans, and eventually covered 5,400 acres, by far the biggest in the area, and an extraordinary-sized operation for that time. John was tasked with spraying and combining, but figured he could also take over the farm's certified seed production and grow the business. He took a seed TZ school taught by Dr. Moore out of North Carolina State that taught seed as a living bean and being treated as such. That philosophy started John on an approach to soybean breeding and development with a passion, dedication, and intellect few others could match. Back on the farm, he rebuilt the interior of that white barn, constructing his own seed handling equipment such as custom bean ladders with rubber coatings to minimize damage to soybeans, creating a reputation for seed quality. In the 1980s, John started his best of the best soybean trials. Everyone in the industry told him it didn't make sense to put his varieties up against the best of his regional and international competitors, but he claimed to be too stupid to have any fears. He just wanted to show farmers which varieties were best to grow. In 1991, DF Seeds began growing and conditioning seed for Asgrow, ultimately working with the company throughout 3 different company owners and becoming the first company in the world to export GMO seed, sending it to Canada. Over the years, DF has partnered with Dairyland, Channel Bio, Crop Production Services, the Andersons, and Remington to grow and process seed. At the same time, DF continued to maintain its own brand of seed, both GMO and non-GMO. In 1996, it all changed. Sherry, John's wife, was working in the office where she managed the farm's finances when she suffered a hemorrhagic stroke. After 3 days in a coma, she was gone. John was left to be a single father to Josh, who was just starting his freshman year at Princeton, and Shane about to begin his junior year at Dansville. Then, the bottom fell out of the farm, too. A week before Christmas, 1996, bank representatives had told John everything was okay, but on December 26th, they told him his credit line was gone, and with it, the farm. The auction took place in March, with the equipment and land all sold. What happened next is a true story that demonstrates who John is as a human being and friend. The AGR brothers, that motley crew, were always tight at Purdue, but after the farm auction it became obvious just how tight they were. John's fraternity brothers, Shorty Whittington, renowned trucker and past president of the American Trucking Association, Mike Nye, former Michigan State Representative, Frank Jones, and Dave Clam were there to help. They all had kids in college, but here they were, John said, coming to bail me out, coming to my rescue. They changed my life. Out of all this came the plan to start a new independent seed company. The Fat Boys, as they had become known, pushed him to develop a business plan, then stepped up as partners to finance that plan. All those first few board meetings were a little rough on John, Whittington would later say. John was so generous, maybe too generous, to run a business. But the brothers knew what John was capable of and understood how his understanding of the seed industry more than made up for his shortcomings as a businessman. It was that altruistic approach that made DF Seeds unique. John has always been known as a seed guy rather than a businessman. Scores of people within Michigan agriculture could count John as a friend, but also as a trusted advisor on soybean varieties and production. We have to believe that those fat boys gained something out of their trust in John that money couldn't buy: faith, pride in seeing his success, and satisfaction that he has done so well. John is also quick to talk about how influential MABA has been in his life. It was at the MABA Winter Conference that he connected with Cliff Mewson and began a non-GMO program with Zealand Farm Services. A few years later, John began working with Chuck Kunish to develop a high-quality food-grade soybean export program to Japan. That Lilly program continues today. It was through MABA that John met Mike McCracken, who would become a partner in DF Seeds. In 2016 at the MABA conference, John began talking to Dave Gears about developing a group home for John's disabled son Shane. Out of that initial conversation came the construction of a home in DeWitt, where Shane happily lives today. In 2015, John sold DF Seeds to longtime employee Chris Varner. He remains closely involved with the company as research director, organizing research plots and working with growers. It's clear to see at field days how John's passion for the industry is inspiring to those around him. He is also becoming something of a race car mechanic, traveling the Midwest on his grandson's quarter-midget pit crew. He spends plenty of time with his wife Sandy at their lake house, fishing and cruising on one of their 2 Boston Whalers. But bring up the topic of soybeans, and it's easy to see John's passion and energy is just as bright as it's ever been, and you better have at least an hour. John does not believe in short conversations. John has rightly been recognized with several awards and distinctions. He received the Certificate of Distinction from Purdue in 2014, the highest award given to alumni of the College of Ag. He's been recognized from the Michigan Crop Improvement Association for his contributions to the seed industry, by 4-H for his outstanding support of agriculture programs, and by Dansville Schools as a distinguished alumni. While most in Michigan agriculture know John Diehl as being Michigan's most knowledgeable man on soybeans, John's true impact on the industry is rooted in his heart. John's path to such a place of expertise and influence has not been easy. It has been as winding and colorful as you'll find anywhere. John will tell you what you plan for your life never turns out like you think it will. His commitment to family and the Michigan farmers defined his career and made him a true leader and legend of agriculture. We now add one more award to that already lengthy list, as the Michigan Agri-Business Association recognizes John with its 2018 Leaders and Legends Award. For his years of service, leadership, and dedication, we are proud to honor Mr. John Diehl.